ladies and gentlemen, yes to everything. No matter what question I ask, Sterling has to answer yes. He has 1 minute to make us believe. All right, Sterling, are you ready to go? I'm going to
Can
put
I say
1 minute.
one thing about this activity before we start? Yes to everything. I equate this to being a lawyer and a client walks into your office and says, "I need someone to advance this position." And the lawyer can't say, "No, I don't like your position." You have to say yes to everything who walks in your. So I consider this to be a lawyerly activity.
Well, I consider it to be a life activity because I truly believe the answer to almost every question is yes. You know, if you put your mind to it, even are you nice? Yes. Are you mean? Yes. Are you stupid? Yes. Are you smart? Yes. You know, who's only nice? Who's only smart? You know what I mean? So I think if we put enough thought to it, we can figure out how the answer is yes. All right, let's see what you can do with this next one or this first one. Should English be the only language on earth?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually believe quite passionately in this, and I yes, English absolutely should be the only language on planet Earth because languages are barriers, and the more languages we have, the more barriers we have. You can never really truly understand someone if you can't speak and understand their language. Because trying to understand someone as a human being through a translator is never the same thing as understanding them on their own level and on the primary thoughts and feelings that are coming out of their mouth through their own language. There's millions of languages that never truly understand each other. Yes, you can learn a second language and a third language, but you can't learn a million languages. But if everyone on planet Earth spoke English, spoke one same language, and every single person could understand every single other person, this would increase a sense of unity. This would take down barriers. It would take down prejudices, and it would do a tremendous amount to bring all human beings together and to understand their similarities rather than their differences.
All right, well done. Second question. Is revenge ever the right thing?
Well, of course, revenge can be the right thing, because without revenge, people don't learn their lesson. I mean, what is a prison system if not a glorified system of revenge? You broke our laws, so we are going to put you in a cell so that you learn your lesson. Revenge is a deterrent technique. It stops people from doing the wrong thing in the first place. And it also is because they're afraid that people will take revenge on them and then they'll be the one who suffers in the end. And revenge is also a technique to enforce upon people not to do something wrong again in the future. I mean, if you make your child sit on the timeout step because they stole a cookie from the cookie jar, that's revenge. You're taking it out on them because they did something wrong that they weren't supposed to do. And if they sit on that timeout step for a minute or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however much revenge you want, that will teach them a lesson not to do it again. And that will stick with them much more than a word saying, "Oh, don't, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that." No, you need to do some sort of revenge to really make the lesson stick.
Do you really think that the prison system is a system of revenge?
I don't think that's how most people would describe it, but I think I think it can be described as that. Yeah, I think that there's a certain sense because there's this concept of denunciation that one of the reasons we punish people when they break the law is to denounce the act of breaking the law, to show society we think it's really wrong to murder or to steal. So if you do that, we're going to punish the person who does it. And what is that if not an act of revenge? I don't think that and I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but I think it is descriptive and maybe revenge is a bit more of a term that everyone can understand and know what it is we're doing rather than using fancy terms like denunciation.
Or punitive? Like when I was working in the prison system, that's what I noticed, and it was kind of shocking to me that because I know in the United States, prison is a place where you get punished over and over again, and the punishment just begins by removing someone's freedom. But when you go into the system, it's awful, it's punitive, it's just one punishment after another. And Canada is actually closer to that. Like I know in Norway, the prison system works differently. It's more rehabilitative. It doesn't seem like revenge. In any case, we could talk about that all day long, but here is your third question. And as you know, the third one is always the tough one. Are you ready for the tough one, Mr. Sterling?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right. I chose this one just for you. Is Canada a failed state?
Absolutely. Canada is a failed state. Canada, where crime is rising, where economic growth is shrinking, where foreign countries are apparently attempting to interfere in our free and democratic elections. How be anything other than have homeless people on the streets in ever greater numbers with nowhere to live, whilst the wealthy have ever more wealth living in their luxury condominiums and their mansions. A successful state would not have a transit system with rampant crime, and which is the primary shelter for homeless people and for the drug addicted. If we are not a successful state, then what must we be? By definition, a failed state. It's a
Oh,
sad
man.
reality to look in the mirror, but it has to be said that Canada right now is a failed state.
All right. Thank you
Can we
very much.
reiterate the point about me having to say yes and opinions expressed may or may not
Yes.
reflect reality?